Now, we have been calling the ceasefire in West Asia fragile, but U.S. President Donald Trump says that Truce is now on life support. Now, this new Trump diagnosis comes after he rejected Iran's latest counter offer in high-stakes negotiations to end the war permanently. And speaking to reporters at the White House, the American president claimed he has the best plan ever to end the war, but did not say what it was. Well, Trump used dramatic language to describe the state of the truce.
It's unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Diagnostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living.
Now, Trump claimed that Iranian leaders changed their mind when the parties appeared to reach points of agreement. He accused Iran of on agreement to allow the U.S. To remove its supply of enriched uranium.
Well, they did 2 days ago. They didn't, okay? They did 2 days ago. They said, you're going to have to take it. We were going to go with them, but they changed their mind because they didn't put it in the paper.
Now, Iran responded with a blunt warning of its own. Iranian Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said that Iran and its armed forces are prepared for any eventuality. In a post on X, Ghalibaf warned, and I'm quoting here, bad strategy and bad decisions always lead to bad results. Now, Iran's foreign ministry defended its 14-point counter proposal as reasonable and generous. The proposal reportedly includes recognition of sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, an end to the U.S. naval blockade, and a halt to fighting across the region, including Lebanon. And Tehran is also demanding the release of frozen Iranian assets held abroad. Now, Trump says he is considering reviving a U.S. naval escort mission to guide oil tankers safely through the strait, though no final decision has been made. Now, as part of the standoff, the U.S. Navy has previously fired on vessels to disable them and diverted ships during enforcement operations, but now Iran has issued its starkest warning against such measures. Ibrahim Razaei, the spokesperson for the Iranian Parliament's National Security Commission, has declared that Iran's restraint is over, warning that any attack on Iranian vessels would trigger a strong and decisive response. Now, the escalating rhetoric comes as the Gulf faces mounting economic and humanitarian pressure from overlapping U.S. and Iranian blockades. Saudi energy giant Aramco has warned investors that even if the strait reopened immediately, it could take months for energy markets to stabilize. The crisis is also threatening global food security. The United Nations says fertilizer shortages could push an additional 45 million people into hunger and starvation. And to give us more details on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani sent us a report from New York. Let's listen in.
President Trump is escalating pressure on Iran after calling Tehran's latest response to the U.S. proposal, quote, totally unacceptable, saying the ceasefire is now on life support. At the same time, the U.S. announced new sanctions targeting networks accused of helping the Islamic Republic sell oil to China, a significant move just before President Trump's expected trip to Beijing. China remains Iran's biggest oil customer, and the White House is hoping Chinese President Xi Jinping can pressure Tehran to avoid further disruptions in the Gulf. President Trump also met with top U.S. generals and national security officials as the Pentagon continues operations to protect commercial shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz. While the risk of escalation is very high at this point, the Trump administration is trying to use economic pressure and diplomacy all at once, with President Trump's China trip now becoming a key test on whether or not Beijing will help contain Iran or continue giving it an economic lifeline. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.